From the Evening Standard in London, I'm David Marsland, and this is The Leader.
Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. But just for you tonight, we're divorced, beheaded, live.
On March 12th last year, Six was preparing to make its debut on Broadway. The musical that premiered at the Edinburgh Fringe, then became such a popular hit in the West End, was about to take New York. And then, that very night, New York closed.
Divorce.
Theatres were ordered to lock their doors as the city locked down against coronavirus. It was a harsh setback for a production that had come so far, but like Catherine of Aragon, Six wasn't going out without a fight. In fact, it wasn't going to go out at all. It's back on in London and preparing for a return to New York. With me now is the co-writer-director Lucy Moss. And Lucy, this has been quite a journey.
Yeah, I suppose. Although I feel like we were, it went from an Edinburgh Fringe show to a Broadway show in 3 years. And that really felt like a proper roller coaster. And then it really felt like everything was just paused. So I feel like it's less the journey, more the sort of like waiting for the sort of big drop again in the roller coaster.
So what happens in that pause? What have you been what were you doing before you reopened in London?
First of all, I did a lot of lying on the floor because it was a pandemic and I was like, oh God, what am I going to do? And also because we'd been working so hard, like so flat out for like 3 years without ever having a moment to pause and think about what we were actually doing. It was quite good to have a little break for a few months at the beginning. But then actually, a real silver lining of the pandemic is that it really gave myself and Toby, my co-writer, time to kind of actually get back into like writing regularly all the time. And now when I tell people like, oh yeah, I'm a writer, I don't feel like a liar and a fraud because I do spend my time writing, as opposed to before when it was just like, this one show that we had, but then, but putting up and over and over again. So it's actually been a lot of writing and then a few kind of like moments we thought the show was going to come back. There was going to be a drive-in concert and then there was going to be a West End thing that got pushed back and then we opened for a week in December and then it closed again. So there's been a lot of stopping and starting in it as well for the show.
Does it feel like everything is going to go smoothly from this point on, or are you worried every night that you're going to have to close again?
I wouldn't dream of saying that I was confident things are going to go smoothly. Like I feel like at this point everyone is just sort of being like, cool, like today the show is happening and that's great. And like, who knows? I feel very tentative about sort of being like, we've triumphed over COVID because it still very much exists. And hopefully I like to think I'm not going to take it for granted.
Grew up in the French court, oui, bonjour, life was a chore, so she set sail.
How do you keep a team together, this Six, the musical team? How do you hold everyone and get them through keep them motivated and get them ready for an opening night?
I think it's, a lot of it is just our amazing company and our stage managers and stuff. Something that happens in the West End every day. We'll have a circle time where everyone sort of says how they're feeling or says something they're grateful for, and it's like just after the warm up before the show. And actually, it's a really great moment of bringing everyone together, everyone feeling like they know what's going on with everybody, but just a moment for everyone to really connect. So I think it's sort of about those small acts on a day-to-day basis that really keep everybody motivated and excited. And I think everyone's just grateful to be there, but also knows that it could, that anything could happen based on the last year or so. So it's really good vibes at the moment in the theatre, to be honest, I think, because everyone's really happy to be there, but not there's not sort of manic excitement or nervousness. It's sort of que sera vibes.
The first reopening in London, Lucy, how was that? Was that exciting? Was it just pure nerve-wracking? Did you get to enjoy it?
Yeah, it was nothing but fun for the West End company. We had a sort of sad situation where it was back when the tiers were kind of a thing, tier 3 and whatever, and our UK tour, which was happening and rehearsing at the same time, found out that their theatre was, I think, in tier 3 or 4. I can't remember which one it was, but the one that meant that theatres couldn't open. So that was really hard. So it was we had the real enthusiasm and gratefulness of the West End company, but then also having to measure that with complete sympathy for our UK tour people who didn't get to open their show, but they should be, fingers crossed, opening in the next couple of weeks.
Was there a particular moment, Lucy, a particular song on that return in London that kind of really hit, that you saw the audience really go for?
Do you know, I mean, all of them are fantastic, the performances, and like, it's so great that each queen sort of like raises the bar and makes things unexpected. But I think this time around, and my favorite always changes, but this time around it was, I think, No Way.
There's no way.
Catherine of Aragon's song, because it's just this like energetic, powerful number, and it was sort of like the first queen, and she kind of comes out and she's like, I'm going to tell you my story, and then it sort of explodes into energy, and it just made me really happy to sort of see everyone just like absolutely smashing the choreo and really like, you know, going full out for that song.
I put up with your like every single day.
And how have you found audiences? Have they been kind of rushing to get back to you? There's no kind of trepidation about going back into a shared space inside a theatre with a pandemic still going on?
I feel like the most like stressed about it when I'm there. Like everyone, the audiences are just like, thankfully, really just like hyped to be there, excited to be there. And I think because it's socially distanced and everyone's wearing a mask and like people are really good about that kind of thing, it actually like I don't feel too freaked out.
The queen of the castle, get down, you dirty rascal, get down.
They've been so generous and engaged and noisy in a way that's, you know, we're a bit nervous obviously about having a socially distanced house because fewer people, which means that the sort of response, the cheers and everything are quieter, but actually it doesn't really feel like that. It just feels like everybody's like absolutely desperate to just have a good time at a theatre.
Looking back, that alleged opening night in New York that never happened, that must have been really hard for you guys because, you know, you'd done this journey. You said 3 years from Edinburgh to Broadway. That's an incredible achievement for anyone. And then to have it taken away from you, when did that hit hardest? Was it that night or, you know, was it a couple of weeks later?
Actually, I only really hit me a few weeks ago. I was on YouTube and then sort of a bootleg of the show like popped up on my recommended, and I was like, that's great, of the Broadway show. And I was sort of like, I hovered over the little preview and I was like, oh gosh, that's so weird that, you know, we worked so hard on that. Everybody worked so hard and then it suddenly got frozen. But to be clear, like in America, the opening like comes about like a month after you do so we had like a month of shows on Broadway. So I think if it had been like the day that we were supposed to start, like without ever having done a show with an audience, it would have been devastating. But because we'd had a month already, I didn't feel like I'd been cheated out of anything. I felt like, you know, that month was wonderful and I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah, you got to have that Broadway experience and you will get it again, Lucy. Is it all going to plan so far? I mean, so far, yeah. I mean, who knows what's going to happen between now and September? Who knows if I'll be allowed into America, you know? I'm just quietly hopeful, but prepared for anything. And Lizzie, can I ask you, because you mentioned at the beginning there, right at the beginning of this interview, that you'd taken the time to do some more writing during coronavirus. Can we expect something new from Lucy Moss soon?
Oh yeah, me and Toby have been writing a lot. We've nearly finished a first draft of a musical, which is really fun because we've done a lot of like bits and bobs and commissions and little like songs here and there for other stuff. But this is our first time we've like since 6 like nearly finished a whole like a long musical. So yes, hopefully by the end of the year we will have seen some actors do it on their feet at some point. So I'm really excited about that.
And are you going to tell me absolutely everything about it, including the entire plot and who's going to be cast in it?
Oh no! Oh my gosh, there's no cast. What's fortunate about it is that it's just me and Toby in a room. Like no one's asked us to do it. No one's paid us to do it. It's just us sitting in a room writing this stupid musical. But it's all I'll say is that it's about romantic love and being tragic and alone and friendship and also bees.
6 is at the Lyric Theatre in London right now. And that's The Leader. Hit the follow button to make sure you don't miss out on our news, analysis, interviews and features.